name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek TV at Essen 2013. I'm sitting down once again with Richard Brees.
Okay.
How are
Nice to
you?
see you again, Beth. Very well, thank you.
And Sebastian Breesdale.
Nice to meet you.
How are you? You guys are both from R&D Games. And last year, you came by to show us Keyflower. But, big reveal, this year, Keyflower's The Farmers.
That's right.
Which I was told is not just an expansion.
Not just, we're quite pleased with the way that Keyflower was very successful as far as the show was concerned last year and was voted the #1 game at the show on the Fair Play list. So there's a huge amount of interest in the game and the expansion this year. The expansion, just very briefly, and we'll both talk you through that in a moment, brings in the animeeples into the game, courtesy Anti-Look and Lookout, for which we should always say thank you. And it brings into another dimension into the individual tiles. So not only do the tiles, the connection of the tiles become important for the connection of the roads, but we create a new environment, which are the fields. And at the end of the game, you're going to be scoring points if you get the animeeples into the different fields. The score is for the number of fields rather than the number of animals. So there's all the consideration of moving the animals around from field to field from the tiles that they originate on.
Yeah, so you can see an example of one of the fields here. It's the sheepfold. If you place one of your meeples into there, then you get a banana meeple and some places into a field. If you place a few more meeples into the one there, then you can get another banana meeple. And in the early parts of the game, you should try to put them in the same fields, because at the end of each season, if you have 2 or more animals in the field, then they breed and produce an additional animal to allow you to continue going onwards. Later on in the game, of course, you can spread out into different fields, and for that you need to use the movements. So again, as in the base game, use the movement here. This allows you 1 movement and an upgrade. So there, in addition to moving resources around, you can move animals from one field to another. Another thing which we've got in the game there is grain. So if you want to move animals from one field to another, then you can entice an additional creature along using the grain. So for example, I've placed there, and wants to spread out more, depending on the grain, move this one into that field.
I had this image of someone holding a bushel of grain saying, come on.
Exactly. Yeah. You can also use it to strengthen the horses and move back more resources as well if you want. So it integrates back into the base game quite nicely.
Now, had you planned from the start, when you guys were designing Keyflower, did you have an idea that there would be an expansion in the works right from the beginning? Or was this only after the success of Keyflower that you guys started working on The Farmers?
There was a long journey from the original game and the idea that Sebastian had on the bidding mechanism, which was the core for the game. And the story behind the game we put on the box sides, because I never like to waste any space on the R&D boxes. And I posed Sebastian with various ideas about expanding the core mechanism that he had. And I think what we did came together very well, very easily and very successfully. And we'd reached a point where I think we had a game that we were both very happy with, which is where we got to with Keyflower. But having reached that, it was at that stage that we started to see the further possibilities of using the tiles in more ways than we had already. What Keyflower The Farmers does, I don't think it adds any complication to the game. It doesn't add anything to the time that you play, because you're still playing with the same number of tiles.
Which was going to be my next question.
But what it does do, it gives you more possibilities of doing things, and you can do more with the tiles, and obviously with the addition of the animals, you've got more variety, more ways of scoring the games. Scoring at the end of the game. So I think if anything, it's adding balance to the game, but it was something that evolved out of the Keyflower game. This stage last year, the idea was there, and we spent a large part of the year fine-tuning it and developing it.
Yes, I mean, towards the end of the Keyflower development, which was noticing that's kind of not very many of the tiles which we put together involved anything to do with agriculture. So at that kind of point, we made this conscious decision to kind of move them a little bit away to make sure that none of them had anything there. So we had to kind of quite a nice complete kind of addition to do there. We weren't quite sure what we were going to do at that stage. So given sort of kind of how uncertain we were, it's amazing how kind of nicely integrated the entire resulting thing feels.
Now, it's been a while since I opened up our box of Keyflower, but will I know, sorry, but will the expansion fit in the original box?
It does, yes.
Oh, excellent.
Just.
Okay. So no more ideas then, that's it.
It's quite a crowded box actually, and for the one or two people that haven't realised it, you do not need to disassemble the screens at the end of the game. They do just about fit in the box. But the idea behind the game, we've got 3 suggestions at the back of the rules. We would suggest when you play your first game with Keyflowers, you actually play our Keyflower the Farmers, you play the Farmer variant, which integrates the initial. Each season there are 4, well, in spring, summer and fall, there are 4 additional tiles. And we would suggest, for example, now we're set up for 3 players, so there would be 7 tiles. So we integrated the 4 new tiles for spring, and then a random selection of 3 tiles from the original 12 for the season. And then we would reproduce that for summer and then autumn. Then in winter, we have a selection of new tiles, which I'll pass over to Sebastian to.
Yes, a nice little winter picture on them.
Indeed, yes. So we've got 3 of them which relate to the different types of animals. The beavers, truffle orchard and the dairy. And as Richard was saying at the beginning, for each field which has a sheep in it, so you get 1 point at the end of the game. Each field with a pig you get 2 points, and each field with a cow in it, you get 3 points. But these ones here, you only get 3, 5 and 7 points instead. So kind of assess the strategic things where if you've got the truffle orchard, you may well hold back from the sheep in order to leave space for all of your pigs to spread out and try to conquer your farm. The other ones are slightly related to grain. So this one here gives you points if you've got grain, resource tiles and skill tiles, and this one here gives you points for just grain. And finally the hillsides is kind of a bit of an anti-farmer's tile in some ways, because rather than rewarding you for having lots of fields with lots of different animals in them, it rewards you for having 1 very big field. There you score 1 point for each tile, which is in the fields which the hillsides tile lives in.
And we should just clarify, just to be on the safe side, that people do need the base game to play this.
People do need the base game to play this.
Because obviously there's a lot of bits that come with this expansion, so I don't want anybody to get confused and think that this would be a standalone box. So go buy both. Now, you guys obviously mentioned Lookout Games. Do you have an idea of when this is going to make it over to the United States?
Yes, probably in the next couple of 24 hours or so.
Oh, all right.
There is a shipment, and the distribution of the game would be through Game Salute. They are on their way. 24 hours might be a bit of an exaggeration, but they are on their way, and they will be available very shortly through Game Salute. And so there should not be a problem with the distribution on the US side.
Since, us Americans, we hate to be teased by all the games we can't buy. Well, Richard, I really thank you for stopping by. Sebastian.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to grab the box one more time. So that is Keyflower's The Farmer's Expansion.